like me, are under the forensic gaze of somebody or something called Philip Cross. Me more than you. To my utter astonishment, Philip Cross has edited my Wikipedia page almost 1,800 times. I cannot imagine what
and he's still at it today. He's still at it today, George.
He did it again today, apparently. Even in the midst of all this controversy about the ability of secret people or persons claiming to be an individual who, for political reasons, are wrecking the entries of people they don't like and placing flowers on the entries that they do like. That's a systemic flaw in Wikipedia, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, I urge everybody to read Craig Murray's great piece out today called The Philip Cross Affair.
It is fantastic. Unfortunately, Craig is too busy to join us tonight, but on craigmurray.org, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got everything down there. I mean, Philip Cross has made 133,612 edits. That was by this morning. He probably had another 50 to that now. In a period since 2004, 30 a day on average, 7 days a week. And Craig has put a graph up there sort of plotting how he edits. And it's an 8 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night operation most days, even some days going into the night.
So that means he can't be in paid work unless this is his paid work, and he's not paid by Wikipedia.
Not necessarily. Exactly. I mean, either he's a guy who is the only thing he's got in his life literally is Wikipedia. So in other words, he can't go to the shops, so he must get his milk delivered and his bread delivered, etc. And he literally just logs on in the morning when he gets up, or sometimes all through the night, and just works on Wikipedia.
Well, many of the entries on me were in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I think weren't some on yours done on Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, yeah. Christmas Day was always a time when you would look at it and think, this is when he's going to be active. Christmas Day, bank holidays particularly, when the victim would be least expecting it, really. When the victim would be doing other things, enjoying life with family, Philip Cross would be there. Christmas lunchtime, putting in the worst kind of things he could think to put in his victim's Wikipedia page. And as you said, at the same time, putting very nice things about certain other people, keeping criticism off their pages and making sure a lot of criticism was put on the pages of other people. That's the way it works.
Now, I would have thought that as soon as this was drawn to the attention of the owners of Wikipedia, that they would have dispensed with his services, at least on the pages that we're talking about here. But that hasn't yet happened, has it?
Quite the opposite. And I think what has been really shocking this week has been the reaction of Wikipedia and of Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia. He's been, I actually tweeted and said his response has been frosty, and somebody said, actually, he's been rude. And he has been very rude at people who have brought Philip Cross's editing to his attention. He's been dismissive. He's called people conspiracy theorists. It's all there. It's all there for anybody to look at. And the correct response should have been from Jimmy Wales, this is quite concerning, I'll look into it. But no, his whole line was very dismissive. And as Craig Murray says, well, he does seem to share the geopolitical views.
Well, definitely. I was going to say that. Jimmy Wales is a Blairite. He's on the board at The Guardian. He married Tony Blair's secretary, God bless them. They're all facing
Syria.
They're all facing the same way anyway.
Yeah, he's pro-war in Syria, he's pro-Israel. Yeah, all have the same kind of extreme centre views, I could call it.
Now, none of this would be a problem if Wikipedia was a known neocon source. The problem is, as teachers have been telling me repeatedly over the last few days that I've been talking about this, it is, for a lot of members of the public, trusted as a kind of neutral encyclopedia.
Yeah.
People are going in good faith to get what they assume in good faith is good information. But it's distorted information, isn't it?
This is the problem. And, of course, people, suppose they saw John Pilger on TV. A young student studying politics sees John Pilger on RT. Oh, I want to find out more about John Pilger. Where would they first go? Wikipedia. And they would see a page that is almost overwhelmingly edited by Philip Cross to show John Pilger in the worst possible light, to portray him as some kind of weirdo, a conspiracy theorist, to big up all the criticism of him by neocons, and to minimise all the positive stuff that he's done.
Well, his latest.
The same with your page.
Yeah, it's the same with mine. But the latest on John Pilger, two latists. The latest thing he did on John Pilger was to delete the list of John Pilger's awards, commendations, trophies. How can that possibly be appropriate editing?
He breaks the rules almost every time he edits. That is vandalism of a page, but he gets away with it. And this is the biggest scandal of all. He makes up the rules. For example, if you put something up, for example, on Seamus Milne, our friend Seamus Milne, myself and John White wrote positive pieces about Seamus at the time when he was coming under extraordinary attack in a lot of media outlets. Philip Cross took those down. He said they weren't acceptable sources. One of them I wrote for Sputnik. He said that was Russian media. That's not acceptable. John wrote his piece for Counterpunch. That wasn't acceptable.
Wow.
Yet, he's also at the same time taken down links to articles by me from The Guardian to say they weren't acceptable. And that's an MSM, a mainstream publication.
Yes.
So it's very, very selective. The double standards are extraordinary. And basically his rule is if the source shows the victim in a bad light, it'll go up. If it shows him in a good light, he'll find an excuse for taking it down.
And he's now turned on John Pilger's family. He's now all over John Pilger's daughter's Wikipedia page.
Well, he does this all the time. I mean, he set up a blog, George, in around 2009 that was basically all about attacking me and my wife. Wow. He set up a blog, and it was him. He admits it was him, and it was basically attacking me and my wife also. So he goes for the family.
Even the mafia didn't go for the family.
Exactly. I mean, and that just shows you the moral depravity of this man or this operation.
Well, that's what I'm really interested in it for, because to be truthful, I couldn't give a toss about Wikipedia. I've never looked at it. I've never seen my page. I never will see it. They can write anything on it that they like. I don't care. But if it's an operation rather than the Travis Bickle of the internet, this taxi driver stalker going around with his Mohican haircut, looking to gun people down, metaphorically speaking, that's one thing that I would have thought was a matter for the police, candidly. But if it's an operation, what kind of operation could it be?
Well, I think it's very easy to see the geopolitics here is that the critics, the victims of Philip Cross have all got one thing in common. Some of them you would call on the left, like yourself and me. Others you would say on the right, like Peter Oborne, for example, the Conservative commentator. But all these people have got one thing in common, George. They're all critics of Western UK foreign policy, in particular neoconservative foreign policy and liberal interventionism. And so, obviously Philip Cross, his agenda...
There's a Tory MP involved too, isn't there? Wasn't a Tory MP driven, he said, to near suicide by Philip Cross?
Yes, he said that he has been driven twice, not just once, twice, to near suicide because of Philip Cross's hateful activities, is what he calls them. Because Philip Cross would be putting up regularly information about him which was sub judice and that wasn't corroborated all the time. And that was harassment, clearly harassment, when you've got somebody like that. And I would say, too, Philip Cross's targeting of me, if I didn't have the family and support of friends at the time, I could have been pushed over the edge by it because it was absolutely non-stop. I mean, one day in July 23rd, 2009, I've got the record in front of me, he edited my page over 20 times. And in July 2009, he was just manically doing it almost every hour of the day. So it would, I think people who are perhaps very under stress, who haven't got family and friend support, would find this extremely distressing to have this man all the time editing your page in the most malicious manner possible to show you in the worst possible light for anybody who looked you up.
Yeah, if it's an operation, and I mean, it could be a deranged individual with no family, no job, no milk or bread to go for. Could it be a state operation? Is that conceivable?
I would think it's highly likely that there is some form of state involvement in this operation. You look, for example, at a page, what Philip Cross did to the page of Ruth Smeeth, the Labour MP from the Labour Friends of Israel. He's taken out, I think more than one occasion, the reference to the WikiLeaks cable that was published showing that she was a so-called special protector of the US Embassy. He took that out. So Why is that important for him to take out? And if you look at his edits, it's also key to see who he protects. He protects the pages of pro-war neocon commentators. So clearly there is, I would think, because of the scale of it, because of the relentless nature of it, I would be very surprised if there wasn't some state involvement in this.
That makes it much more serious, doesn't it? A nutter is one thing, a state operation, especially if it was a British state operation. That would pose very serious questions for democracy, wouldn't it? I mean, if the Russian state were 24/7 distorting the reputations of individuals that they didn't like or didn't like them on Wikipedia, that would be a major scandal. There'd be a parliamentary inquiry into it. There'd be diplomats expelled over it.
Yeah, but there needs to be a parliamentary inquiry into this, I think, because, as you say, that we had a lot of fake news about Russian involvement, and Russians fixed Brexit, Russians did this, Russia caused the heavy snow in March, all this nonsense, and yet here we have an clear operation, basically to try and destroy the reputations of foreign policy critics in the UK, and everybody's turning a blind eye to it. I know you put up a very, very well done £1,000 reward for the positive identification of Philip Cross.
Yes, can I just correct something? I never asked for his address. I don't want to know his address. I just want to know his identity. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a matter of public interest, George.
As he's utterly obsessed by me, my family demands that we should know who he is, because that obsession might tip over into violent madness.
Absolutely. And, it is a matter of public interest that we know who this man is or who is behind this operation, because democracy, we shouldn't allow these things to happen. We need transparency. If somebody wants to argue with you, fair enough, but to do it all at 3 o'clock in the morning, putting up often libelous information about somebody in order to destroy their reputation, is completely unacceptable, and shame on Wikipedia for not taking action. This chap, as soon as the complaints came in, and I've complained before to them, they should have suspended him. They haven't, and that really is, I think, very, very a very black mark against Wikipedia. And I think certainly that I wouldn't ever be thinking about donating to them until they get their house in order on this.
Well, it seems extraordinarily cavalier on their part. I mean, they are funded by public generosity, and yet they are behaving as if they didn't have to care what people think about what people are doing inside their operation. How do you get to be one of these editors? Not that I have any time or inclination to be one, but how would he get the power to 1,800 times distort my entry on Wikipedia?
Well, I think the problem is people are going under sock puppets. They're anonymous, they're pseudonymous. So you have this sort of strange, like a secret society organization there. Example, one editor was called Slim Virgin, who was extremely hostile to me. She rejected the idea I was a journalist. He can't really call her a proper journalist. I think she was later exposed to having intelligence services links. And she worked with Philip Cross. Wow. So I think the problem is that people are hiding under false names, are hiding under sock puppets, catfish accounts, whatever you want to call them.
Although
so it's in this case, to find out who's who.
Yeah, but this Philip Cross repeatedly abuses me on Twitter. Called me a punk, for example. Now, once you've called me a punk, whether you think I'm a punk or I'm not, you can hardly then check in as an impartial editor of my Wikipedia account. And yet he has done both.
Yeah, it shows what an utter farce it is. And when this is pointed out to Jimmy Wales, there's just complete silence.
Yeah.
So I think Jimmy Wales comes at this very badly indeed. And if he is listening tonight, I would really urge him now to take action, because this story isn't going to go away.
Trust me.
It's going to get bigger.
Trust me, he's listening.
Trust me. Herald last week, wasn't it? It's on the radio. The more and more articles are coming out, and we're not going to shut up, because I think, as you said earlier, a former MP has twice come close to suicide. So people might think, it's a bit of a joke, a bit of a fun. This guy's a crank, but it has serious consequences to people. This is harassment, and I think if Jimmy Wales is listening to this, I would really urge him very quickly to actually take action at long last.